On this YouTube channel, we frequently dive deep into the world of lenses. We explore lens build, autofocusing capabilities, and image quality. But most importantly, we dive into the unique characteristics that each lens brings to the table. Now, don't get me wrong, clinically sharp lenses have their place and I appreciate them for certain scenarios. However, there are times where we want more than just clinical sharpness. We want character. We want captivating image rendering, and we want to see how lenses create beautiful bokeh that turns the background into this mesmerizing canvas. Today, we're going to explore one such lens, a modern M42 lens from TTARTISANS. That's right, we are talking about this bad boy right here. This is the TTARTISANS 100mm F2.8 lens, features native M42 mount. TTARTISANS likely chose this mount because M42 lenses are known for their adaptability to various camera mounts. Now let's talk about the build quality of this lens. As you might expect from a 100mm focal length lens, it's a bit lengthier than some other TTARTISANS models out there. However, the overall footprint remains quite small and compact. The lens has a reassuring weight to it, which I find quite impressive. The construction is solid, featuring a robust metal build. One standout feature for me is the aperture ring, which is a clicked aperture ring. You might have heard me talk about this so many times and talk about the importance of a clicked aperture ring before, and here's why. As a photographer, I rely on tactile feedback to know when I've adjusted the aperture. Clicked rings provides that reassurance for me. With smooth aperture adjustments, you sometimes risk accidentally shifting the aperture when you don't intend to, which can disrupt your shooting flow. Manual focusing on this lens is a pleasure. It offers a smooth focusing ring with just the right amount of resistance. The aperture ranges from a wide open f2.8 to a narrow f22. And this lens accepts a 49mm filter thread size. One minor quibble that I have is with the lens cap, which is a screw-on type, and I personally prefer the quick release style caps that allows you to squeeze the side of it. Screw-on caps can slow you down during a shoot, and I just don't like it. Look, we just have to screw it. We just gotta twist the thing off, and it's really not twisty. And you gotta do this every time. And it falls because it fell down because it's so freaking thin. So that's something you have to keep in mind. It's so tiny. I don't feel like that's the type of lens cap that I want for my lenses. And so the lens barrel does extend out when you focus. So there's a lot of focus breathing in this lens. Look at that. That's crazy. So that's something just to keep in mind when you are using this lens. Oh my God, screw on. That's the second time this happened to me. Now, given that it's a manual focusing lens, I found that focusing with it to be straightforward. With experience in shooting manual lenses, I've become quite comfortable with this process. So manual focusing to me is very easy on this lens. And what about the most important aspect of this lens, the image quality? How does this lens perform, and does it bring a unique character to your shots? And I must admit that I've been having a blast with this lens because of its charming images that it produces. One standout feature for me is the bokeh that it creates. It's reminiscent of dreamy, soapy bubbles often associated with vintage lenses. These bubbles add a whimsical, playful charm to your images, and that is something that you rarely find in modern lenses today. And even as I review the images, I can't help but feel a sense of awe and excitement. This lens truly offers a unique and different experience. While it may not be as sharp as modern lenses that you're used to, it more than compensates that with its distinctive character. The compromise is well worth it as long as you understand what you're getting into. When shooting wide open at f2.8, you'll notice a glowing effect around the highlights in your images. It almost looks like you're using a diffusion filter. And if you don't like this look, you can stop it down by a third of a stop and it will reintroduce contrast back into your shot. And as you continue to stop down to f8, the lens performs much like any other modern lens out there. You'll achieve a decent level of sharpness and clarity. However, beyond f8, beware that this lens starts to get soft again due to diffraction. So let's talk about the flares. It's not well controlled, and be mindful that when the sun hits the lens at any angle, you're going to experience a loss of contrast. When it comes to chromatic aberration, I think it's very well controlled. I shot in high contrast situations on a sunny day, which can produce some aberrations, but it performed quite well. It's only when shooting towards the sun did I notice some purple fringing. Other than that, it's controlled very well. And given the 100mm focal length, you'll experience some decent compression. Experimenting with subject background distance can yield unique shots as well. I must remind you guys, while shooting with this lens at f2.8, there's some softness and a glowing highlight in the middle of the frame. In some situations, this effect may work, but in most cases, it won't. So consider stopping it down to a third to reduce that glow. And this lens also serves as a good telephoto lens, and I appreciate the look that it produces. The landscape shots that I took turned out to be quite decent as well. This lens is a true gem for those who long for a vintage film lens aesthetic that harkens back to the golden days of photography. It's all about that soap bubble-like bokeh. That distinctive traits that reminiscent of that legendary trio plan lens. Now, you might have heard about the trio plan 100mm f2.8 Mark II, but this lens is probably emulated after the trio plan 100mm f2.8. I don't know if you heard, but there is a trio plan 100mm f2.8 Mark II, but it comes with a rather hefty price. It costs about $1,000, and for most photographers, investing that much in a manual lens, no matter how prestigious that name is, might not be justifiable. Alternatively, you can venture into the uncertain world of vintage lenses and hunt on eBay, but beware that these old lenses often comes with quirks. The manual focusing ring might be off, the aperture dial might be stiff, you might even discover fungus or scratches on the lens, making it a rather fragile and unpredictable choice. Enter this lens right here, the TTARTISANS 100mm f2.8, priced at $155. It offers you a similar experience producing that distinct soap bubble bokeh, all without the risks and uncertainties of vintage lens hunting. With the TTARTISANS, you're getting a brand new lens with excellent build quality, devoid of the wear and tear that often plagues vintage optics. You don't have to be delicate with it, worrying about every scratch or smudge on the glass. This is like a brand new lens, okay? So you're a photographer looking to capture that vintage magic without breaking the bank or taking unnecessary risks, the TTARTISANS 100mm f2.8 might just be your perfect companion. So who's this lens for? So if you're a vintage photography enthusiast, if you're passionate about capturing the aesthetics of vintage film photography, this lens provides that unique character that you seek. This lens is also for the budget-conscious photographers. For those who want that distinct look without emptying their wallets, the TTARTISAN lens offers exceptional value. And the creative and artistic photographers. If you enjoy experimenting with bokeh and artistic effects in your images, this lens will open up that new creative possibilities. And this lens is also for the portrait photographers. The 100mm focal length allows for a beautiful compression and creamy background, making it an excellent choice for portrait photography. If you're already into adapting lenses or collecting vintage glass, this lens complements your existing gear and collection. For those interested, you can find the links to this lens down in the description below, and I'd like to extend a special thanks to Per Gear for providing me with this lens for review. If you'd like to support me and my channel, please check out their website. The links are provided down below. And if you found this video helpful or valuable in any way, consider subscribing to this channel. We have more gear reviews like this coming your way. Thanks so much for